test for a estimated VO2 max. He has been warming up for about 2 minutes now. He's going to continue to warm up for another minute or so. We took his resting blood pressure, which was 124/82, and his resting heart rate was 69 beats per minute. We are going to begin the first stage at a 0.5 resistance. It's the same for all levels of people taking this test to make sure we don't start them off crazy high or really low, depending on how fit they are. Then depending on where his heart rate is after the first 3 minutes, we will begin changing the resistance depending on his heart rate and continue from there. We plan to reach a steady state, which is when we know the test can be terminated. Steady state is when your heart rate we have two stages that are between 110 and 150 beats per minute for your heart rate. So we are starting We're starting the first stage now. So he's been warming up for 3 minutes now. So this first stage is 3 minutes long. At the first minute and 45 seconds, I'll get his first heart rate, and we'll take a blood pressure reading, and then a second heart rate before the stage finishes. He is staying while he's doing his cycle. It is across the board, stays the same. He is doing 50 reps per minute, and the workload is being put up to 0.5. Reasons that we would terminate the test would be if his heart rate jumps a large amount that makes us worried. He is 20 years old, so his estimated heart rate max is 200, so we keep an eye out for making sure he doesn't get within 85% of that, which is 170 beats per minute. If he asks to stop, we can stop it. He's wearing a heart rate monitor right now also, so we'll use that for the accurate reading.
All right.
After the first minute and 45 seconds, his heart rate is at 91 beats per minute. His next blood pressure reading was 130/82. And then his second blood pressure reading, or heart rate reading, is 87 beats per minute. Oh, and then what would you say your resistance, your RPE is on a scale from 6 to 20? 6. 6 is extremely light. Okay, so since his heart rate is, he's done the first 3 minutes, since his heart rate has stayed, it's between 80 and 89 beats per minute, we raise up the workload to 2%. do the same thing. We'll get 2 readings for heart rate and another reading for blood pressure as we continue. Another reason to terminate the test would be if he feels discomfort or pain while doing this, we would stop, let him relax, and make sure his pain subsides. First minute and 45 again, we're doing his heart rate, which is at 105 beats per minute. The second reading for his blood pressure was 136/82. So that has increased, but not that it would rate that very well. And then for your second heart rate reading for this stage, he is at 107 beats per minute. And now with the increased resistance, what would you consider your RPE to be? So it's still very light for him.
Alright, so we're doing the single stage submax treadmill test. The purpose of this test is to estimate VO2 max, which is your maximum oxygen consumption. And basically how we're doing that is we have Lexi warming up right now on the treadmill, and every minute we're going to take her heart rate, blood pressure, and her rate of perceived exertion. We're going to warm up for 4 minutes and then move to another stage where we will increase the grade to 5%. The speed will remain set between 2 and 4.5 miles an hour. And what we're looking for at the end of the third and fourth stage is a steady state heart rate. And then we can use that to calculate what her estimated VO2 max is. Right now it's also important to note that when you're stepping on and off of the treadmill, you want to step off on the sides and then decrease or increase the speed. You don't want to be standing while it's stopped or slowing down on it. So we made sure she did that earlier. And also, in order for this test to work, there are a couple things that we assume that are true. Number one being her maximum heart rate is 220 minus her age, which is 199 since she's 21 years old. And then also that a steady state heart rate is actually achieved. So that's another assumption. We have to assume that those things are true in order for this test to work. Right now we're ending the second minute of her warm-up, so we're going to get ready. I'm going to take her blood pressure, record her heart rate, and ask her her rate of perceived exertion. Got about 122/64 for that first blood pressure reading. What'd you say your rate of perceived exertion is?
Heart rate's 86.
And we'll do this after the next minute. I'll go ahead and do that again, and then we'll increase the grade up to 5%. And we'll do that for 3 minutes. Then at the end of the second and third minute, we will take her blood pressure and heart rate and see if she's achieved a steady state. Also, reasons that we would terminate this test is if she gets to 85% of her maximum heart rate. So if she's working pretty hard or feels like she is, we would stop the test. Also, if she starts to have any kind of pains or wishes to stop the test, we would go ahead and stop the test. But mainly we're looking for if she gets to 85% of her max heart rate, so we know she's working pretty hard, harder than she should be. So that's reasons we would terminate. I'm going to go ahead and take the next blood pressure reading. About 126/68, which is pretty close to what we were last time. So in this warm-up, that'd be pretty normal, considering she's doing the same amount of work this whole time. And what's her heart rate? Heart rate is at about 88, so pretty close to what she was last time. And your rate of perceived exertion? All right, and at this point in the test, we're going to go ahead and increase the grade to 5%. We're going to do that for 3 minutes and obtain her heart rate and see if she reaches a steady state. It's also important to note that she is walking at a 3.2 mile per hour pace. We'll need that number in order to calculate the VO2 max later on. we're at a heart rate about 94 right now, so we still got a couple more minutes in the test, so we'll see how that changes throughout. Also, it's important to note that the blood pressure, I got 138/70. That's totally fine for right now. That's about what I heard. It's kind of hard to determine it exactly because since she's moving and we don't have electronic blood pressure readers, so there might be a little bit of error in that listening. So. We're about 98 now for heart rate. And what's your RPE? 11. And her RPE is 11. The scale is between 6 and 20. 11 is fairly light, so she doesn't feel like she's doing too much work, so that's good. Especially since this is a submaximal test. And we're going to go ahead and get the next blood pressure reading and heart rate, assuming that they are within about 6 beats of each other on the heart rate. That means that we'll assume that she has reached about a steady state. If not, we would move on to another stage. If it still hasn't steady state, or if we still haven't reached steady state, we would move on to an additional stage, and then at that point, we would stop the test and do a hold down. Her heart rate was 102 for this test. The previous one was 98, so that's within 6 beats. So we're going to go ahead and assume that she has reached about steady state. Also, it is within 50 and 70% of her heart rate max. That's one of the criteria for this test that you want to try to reach, is getting them between their 50 and 70% of their heart rate max. Since we've reached that, we're going to go ahead and decrease the incline all the way and let her cool down. We'll continue to take RPE, blood pressure, and heart rate throughout the cool down, just to make sure we don't see any weird numbers going on there, just to make sure her body's okay, nothing weird's happening. All right, and then later on, after she's done, we will put these numbers into the calculation, and we can figure out her estimated VO2 max, and that is the single stage treadmill test, so to estimate VO2 max.
Okay, we'll be administering the YMCA bench press test. So this is used to estimate upper body muscular endurance, and so we're going to use 35 pounds because
because she's female. If she were a male, we'd use 80. And she's going to lie flat on the bench with her feet on the ground, and her hands are going to be shoulder width apart on the bar, and she's going to press up and down to the metronome 60 beats per minute, and whenever she goes up, her arms need to be fully extended, and then back down, and the test is terminated if she can no longer keep pace with the metronome, or she can no longer proceed. And I'm going to be holding going down with the bar to make sure that it does not fall on her, and I will be handing her the weight before we begin. So we'll set the metronome. And this. Test is terminated. She can no longer keep pace with the beat at 67 reps. Okay, so we'll be performing the push-up test, and that's a test for muscular endurance. So he's going to do a standard push-up position, and his body's going to be straight and rigid. His arms are going to be shoulder width apart with his arms tucked under his shoulders, and his toes are going to be tucked in. And he has to go all the way down to my fist with his chest, and then back up to a fully extended position, and he can only rest in the upper position, and he's going to go till exhaustion.
All right, so start in that position.
Yes.
Okay. And go.
And go.
so we are testing the partial curl up test, and it is for abdominal endurance. Lexi is going to be laying on the mat with her knees bent at 140 degrees, arms relaxed at the side. Her left hand is in line with the first strip of tape to begin where she begins her curl up, and then as she progresses into the curl up, her hand will slide forward where her fingers have to touch the other beginning end of the second tape strip, which is 12 centimeters away because she's under 45 years old. The test then is terminated, or she will be going to the metronome, which is 40 beats per minute, so it's 20 curl-ups per minute. The test is terminated if Lexi can no longer continue keeping up with the metronome, or if she reaches 75 curl-ups, it's automatically finished. All right, do you have any questions? All right, ready? Go. So, go with the beat. Make sure you finish them all the way. Doing great. You're at 22. Almost got there. That last one was 50. Keep going. Got it. Still feeling okay?
Yeah.
Ten more. Got it. Okay. All right, so the test was terminated because Lexi reached 75 partial curl-ups. we are doing the three-site skin fold test for body composition on males. For males, the 3 sites are the chest, abdomen, and thigh. So I'm going to do the 3 sites all one time to get my first reading, and then I'll go through all 3 of them again to get a second reading. They have to be within 2 millimeters of each other. If they're not, we can retest again to make sure they're accurate. So to start, I'm going to go with the chest, and so you go midway between the underside of your armpit and your nipple. So I'll record that. Okay. For abdomen, we're doing a vertical fold. So it's just to about 2 millimeters to the right of the belly button. And then for the thigh, you go midway between the hip and the knee. And it is a vertical fold as well. Okay, so now that I've gotten them all once, I'll go through again. And these pinches should be a little bit uncomfortable because you want to get as accurate as you can. So this is a diagonal fold again. I got 14 millimeters, and the first time I got 15, so we're good. For the abdomen. I got 26 for this one. On the first test, I got 28, so that's good also. Remeasure, make sure I get the middle. So you're good. Okay. And I got 21 this reading, and I got 19 the first one, so we're good. If any of those have been messed up, or more than 2 millimeters apart, we just would have retested again. That's good. That's body composition.
I'm administering a test for body composition, and it's a 3-site skin fold test. And so, since she's a female, we're going to be doing tests on her triceps, her suprailiac, and her thigh. And so for her triceps, she needs to have her arm dangling to the side, and it's going to be on the posterior of her arm, and it's going to be midway between the shoulder and the elbow, and it's going to be a vertical fold. So I'm going to mark halfway between. And I'm going to pinch. It's going to be an uncomfortable test, so you can pinch hard if you need to. I'm going to record that, and I'm going to go through each test, triceps, suprailiac, and then thigh, and then do them all again. And I want each of them to be within 2 millimeters apart, and if they're not, we'll have to retest. So now the suprailiac, this one's going to be a diagonal fold, and it's going to be right above her iliac crest, and it's going to be a diagonal fold. Record that number. And then we're going to do a thigh, and it's midway between her hip and her knee, and it's a vertical fold, like the triceps. I'll record this, and now I'm going to go back through each test to see if they're within 2 millimeters. So I'll go back to the midline where I marked on her triceps. I got 37. The first time I got 38, so that works. 18, and the first one I got 16. So that's within 2. And then the thigh. I got 41, and the first one I got 42. So the 3 side skin fold for a female.
Alright, so we're going to be doing the YMCA sit and reach test. This is a test that will assess flexibility of the lower back, the hamstrings, and the strong abdominals. What we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of tape around the 15-inch mark on the yardstick, and then we're going to set the yardstick on the floor right in line with the performer's ankles or heels. So basically what she has to do is, with her hands together, she'll reach out over the yardstick and see how far up the yardstick she can get. It's important to keep in mind that she shouldn't bounce while she's reaching. Also, she needs to keep her knees straight and not bend her knees up. And she'll do that test 3 times, see how far she can get. We'll record those, and then depending on how far she gets, we'll score and assess her flexibility of her lower back, hamstrings, and strong abdominals. So if you want to just go ahead, we'll reach out. If you want, you can put your hands on the yardstick itself. All right. She got about 16.5 that time. All right. And then if you want to go ahead and go again, reach out as far as you can. 18 inches that time. All right. And last time. And she got about 19.5 inches that third trial. For a female, that would be a rating of good. So her flexibility of her lower back, hamstrings, and strong abdominals is pretty good. So that's the YMCA sit and reach test. Alright, so we're going to be doing the shoulder elevation test. This is to assess shoulder flexibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our performer laying down flat on the ground in a prone position. She will put her chin on the floor. I will give her this stick, and what she will do is keep her arms straight and her elbows straight and see how far she can lift the stick up above her head while keeping her chin on the floor. And then I'll take a tape measure from the stick to the ground, see how many inches that is. And then we will use that to assess her score. But we'll do 3 trials first and then find out her score. So if you want to take this, put our chin on the floor, arms straight out, elbows straight out, raise up as high as you can. All right, got about 10 inches. And we'll do it 2 more times. Go ahead and raise up. About 10.5 inches that second time. And 1 more time. And back to 10 inches. All right, and if you want to go ahead and stand up, in order to find her score, what we need to do is find her wingspan. So I'll go ahead and have you She's about 58 inches for her wingspan. We will take the best, we'll take her best score, times that by 100, and then divide it by her wingspan. So we'll take and that score actually gives us a score of about 62, so that will be an average score. So that assesses shoulder flexibility. So that's the shoulder elevation test.
Okay, so this is the chin lift for flexibility for trunk flexibility test. So Isaac is going to he's laying flat on the table. He's going to use his arms to push his torso up off the table, but he keeps his pelvis on the table. And then I will go ahead and try to extend your arms all the way. And I will be measuring from the suprasternal notch down to the table to see how far he gets my centimeters. So he is right at 31 centimeters. So go ahead and relax, and we'll test one more time to make sure we're getting accurate readings. So when you're ready, go ahead and push all the way up. And he's at 32 centimeters that time. And so with that rating, he is considered excellent because we want a reading of greater than